Taking on Delta, the lieutenant governor of Georgia now vowing to block new tax breaks that would benefit the airline after its decision to cut ties with the NRA. Well, this coming as more than a dozen companies announce the end of their business partnership with the gun rights organization. And joining me now is the CEO of the silent partner marketing firm, Kyle Reyes. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Good morning.
So let's just begin with you and your company. You're a gun owner.
Yep.
You are a spokesperson for law enforcement. You've spoken with your employees as well about owning guns.
Absolutely.
What do they have to say about all of this?
You know, I can't speak for everybody, but what I could say is this. It is a fundamental American right, and everybody's on the same page about that. And as we see more and more companies stepping up and saying, well, we're going to boycott the NRA, it raises the question about their political perspectives. And Americans are sick and tired of being force-fed political ideologies of companies having knee-jerk reactions. The things that we should be looking at common sense solutions for.
And when you look in terms of the number of people involved in the NRA, when companies start doing something like this, it's not just those numbers.
Right. It's a mistake to think that these companies joined with the NRA to target the 5 million estimated members of the NRA. The reality of it is that by some estimates, there are as many as 100 million gun owners in America. And so they forget that they weren't just targeting those 5 million members of the NRA, but rather the 100 million people that are estimated across the U.S. to be supporters of the Second Amendment.
Yeah, and it does appear at this point to also actually having some backlash. If you look on social media, which originally was what sparked this, there are people that are searching out the NRA and the companies that are not doing this, like FedEx.
Absolutely. The number of searches are at a record high on Google right now for people searching for NRA membership. So the people are who are represented by the NRA, not the companies. The companies signed up with the NRA to try and reach a target demographic, and they have made the mistake of underestimating the scope and the buying power of these people who are now standing up and saying, well, we're going to fight back.
And the companies, they're running the gamut. I mean, from car rental companies to airlines, United, Delta, but then there's some issues that Delta is having to deal with in terms of tax breaks in Georgia.
Well, and let's not forget, too, that the same group of people who are fighting against these companies right now saying we're going to boycott you unless you are out of the NRA are in many cases the same people who turned on the dime and were attacking companies like United Airlines and American last year the second that there was some backlash over, in that case, customer complaints. So we're not exactly talking about the most loyal demographic of people here. So the problem is that when you cater to the demands of a few because they happen to be the loudest and most vocal on social media, you run the risk of alienating a tremendous number of people.
And that is not good business. And someone who would know about good business would be Warren Buffett. And he said, and this is a quote, that would be ridiculous in reference to boycotting gun owners. And that's significant because he's a huge Democratic supporter.
Right. I mean, Warren Buffett is in his own right a mover of markets. And so for the man to come out and say, listen, this is a bad move, he understands the buying power that Americans have. President Trump has taught people how to fight again, how to stand up and how to rally together. And that's what we're seeing here right now. For Warren Buffett to come out as a businessman and say, listen, the idea that I would alienate half of my potential audience isn't a good move. I think that a lot of other companies need to take heed in that and understand the potential implications of going after a large percentage of Americans and saying, we don't want your business anymore.
Yeah, just because you're the loudest voice in the room doesn't mean you're the most significant. And the silent majority, I like how you said that.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank
A lot
you.
of great insight.